Now let's set the record straight. I'm appalled by how it's worked out, but let's start up a debate about all this came about. And people without a voice are the first to start to shout, and people start to steal when the wealth's not shared throughout. Now I understand resistance and why we'd attack the system, but we have to set the example and we can choose how we resist them. I feel for those we've lost and those who will always miss them, but they wouldn't want our humanity to just fade into the distance. When we want to protest, I'm all for taking to the streets, but fighting for peace is hopeless and it's breaking our beliefs. And when innocent people lay there shaking like a leaf, then love is all that would touch the parts that hating couldn't reach. And it's a human trait when you're hurting to try to hurt yourself, especially when on the breadline and you're told you don't deserve the wealth. But I look at all these headlines and I swear they're being misspelled, and it's signed upon the red line with rights in exchange for our help. Yet once again the facts will get distorted, and I don't know what makes me angrier, the news or the way it's reported. And who would deny a man a fork of food when he says he can't afford it? But this isn't about justice anymore, and war, we still abhor it. It's easy to feel powerless when you live in financial slavery, but for every act of cowardice there's at least 2 acts of bravery. And sorry if you don't have our trust, but I'm working with what you gave me, and no, I won't condone the violence, not even if you paid me. Yes, people lash out when they feel they just can't cope, and when you lose sight of your future, you're bound to lose all hope. And when fame and fortune is rubbed in the faces of those that are broke, you couldn't wash the blood off your hands with any amount of potent soap. And what would you become when your heroes are celebrities and the crooks? When you're taught your place in the world is dependent on your looks? When your peers spend all the money on bullets instead of books? Because dealing with these problems is the task that they claim they undertook. Now the youth have been left to feel like they're falling through the cracks, and it doesn't take much to reveal that we're still divided by class. And I know that things are hard, I'm not saying don't fight back, but you better think carefully who deserves to be attacked. And yes, it's cruel to dangle carrots before a starving donkey's nose, but happiness isn't stitched into the lining of fancy clothes. And we all have a few questions, let's hear them respond to those. Like, why encourage silence when it's obvious that people long for growth? All for fighting injustice and gaining some retribution, but destroying your own communities isn't part of any revolution. You can't be part of the problems and still claim to want solutions. I want a plan for change too, I just want a better execution. So take a look around and I'll tell you who does war best. People with nothing left to lose at the risk of losing even more respect, and speak out against injustice while you still have your breath. But most people know not to shit on the edge of their own doorstep. I'm the first to admit that it's all just a game of cat and mouse, but just what would you do for a richer life for your fatter spouse? And where are the great thinkers saying things like black and proud? And if this is a small minority, why persist to attack the crowd? But if you want someone to blame for the lack of understanding, find something reflective and place before you where you're standing. Society seems ineffective and the population's still expanding, and the backlash was expected, you just didn't listen to them demanding. So be careful where you place your feet and where you place your energy, and your neighbours down the street are certainly not your enemy. We can fight back with peace, and that's the truth, at least it better be, because it's our basic human need. At least that's what my heart's been telling me. And if you need to fight your corner, at least try to find a motive, because hate with no direction is always dangerously explosive. We lost our human rights and most of us didn't even notice. It's time to make sure that every single one of us knows this.